This is revision for our S3 assessment at the National 4 level. It's going to be the calculator questions that we're going to be dealing with in here, and what we'll be involved with will be questions relating to money, relating to circle, relating to Pythagoras Theorem, and it will be trigonometry, like SOHCAHTOA type questions, as you might know them. This is the formula list we've got, so we've only got two things in there. The circumference of the circle, C is equal to pi d, and the area of a circle, A, is equal to pi r squared. So they're the two formulae that we're going to come back to if we need them. Let's get started on the questions, okay? First question. Right, what I would recommend is that you read the question, freeze the video, read the question, try to answer it, and then watch the solution. And then do the same for the next question. Let's start now. A factory produces 4,000 widescreen televisions, each valued at £950. Calculate the total value of the 4,000 televisions, and we have to answer in standard form. Right, so what I know is that the total value is going to be equal to the amount it costs for one of them, which is £950, and I'm going to multiply that by how many televisions that I've got. I've got 4,000 that's here. Right, so that should just give me my total value. Just bring in the calculator, and all we'll do is 950 times 4,000, press the equals button, and I've got 380000. So I've got 38, and there's 5 zeros there. Okay. Right, so to finish off this question, I have to give it in standard form. So what I'll do is I'm going to write down the numbers that I've got here, put a decimal point in between them. It's going to be in pounds, and I'm going to multiply that by 10 to the power of something. So currently my decimal point's sitting out here, so if I move my decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places, I would get it into there. So it's going to be to the power of 6. And that's my answer. Right, let's look at the next question. In a drum kit, the diameter of a large drum is twice the diameter of the small drum. The small drum has a radius of 30 centimetres, and we have to calculate the circumference of the large drum. So I'm going to draw down the small drum first of all, okay? So I've just used a set of compasses to draw that. What I've got from the centre of the circle, or where I put the point, from there to there, that there is the radius, okay, and the diameter is all the way across, so the diameter would be all the way across. So if I know that the radius of the small drum is equal to 30, radius of the large drum is going to be equal to double that size. And that's just the radius. And remember, if that's the radius of the large drum, the diameter of the large drum is going to be equal to double that size as well. Okay? Because what we've got is, as I say, the radius is across to there, the diameter would be all the way across the circle, going right through the centre. That's our diameter. I needed the diameter because if I look at my formula list, I'm trying to work out the circumference of the circle. So the circumference starts with a C. C is equal to pi d. So that's the formula I'm going to use to work this question out. So I'm going to start with my formula. Just write that down. Pi times the diameter. The diameter was 120. From there, I'm going to bring up my calculator again. So it's pi times 120. Right, so what we can see here is there's a pi button that's down the bottom of the calculator. So if we look down here, what you can do is you can see in gold, you can see a pi button. That's usually where it's positioned on a number of calculators. So all I'm going to do is, because it's gold, I'm going to press the shift key first and press that button there, and that should bring up pi in the display. What I'll then do is I'll multiply that by 120. which is the diameter of the large drum. And that gives me an answer of 376.99 and some other characters beyond that. So that's going to be 376.99, and I've got some more characters. If I want to round that to the nearest centimetre, that would be 377, because I'm just going to round the 6 up to 7 based on that 9 there, and that's going to be centimetres. Okay, and the circumference is just the distance all the way around the circle. So that's that question. Let's go to question 3, sorry. Question 3. Right, so in this one here we've got the screen of a laptop computer is the length of the diagonal from one corner of the rectangular screen to its opposite corner. So from there to there, that's going to be the diagonal. The laptop measures 33 centimetres by 21 centimetres as shown. Calculate the screen size X on this laptop. Okay, so what I want to know is the distance from there to there. So I've got a right angle triangle, so this is going to be a Pythagoras Theorem question. So I'll go for by Pythagoras Theorem. Right, and because I know that I've got a right angle here, if I'm looking across, straight across there, if I use that as an arrow, that points across to the largest side. So this side here is my hypotenuse. Okay, so I know it's the largest side that I'm going to try and calculate, so I'm going to put down x squared, okay, is equal to, and I'm just going to use 33 squared, and I'm going to be adding on 21 squared. So that's Pythagoras Theorem set up for me. What I'm going to do is I'm then going to go to my calculator, and I'm going to do 33 squared. So if you can see here, I'm going to punch in 33 and I'm going to hit my square button and equals. So that's 1089. And I've got 21 squared. So 21 squared is going to be equal to 441. 441. What I'll now do is add these two together. So that's 1089. 1089. And that should give me 1530. Okay, so that's x squared, and 1530 centimetres is going to be just far too big. That's just unrealistic. So what I can then do is I'm going to take the square root of 1530 here. So if I'm going to be looking at the square root, then what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using this button here on the calculator, the square root button. So press the square root. 1530, 1530 equals, and that's 39.1 centimetres. Okay, I've just rounded that to 1 decimal place. Okay. If you are looking for a quicker way to do this, then what we could have said is that if I know that I'm going to try and work out that side there, and I know that x is going to be equal to the square root of 33 squared plus 21 squared, and from there, if I put that into my calculator, if I've got it set correctly, then that's an easy one for me to do. So what I'll do is I'll put a square root in, if you can see that there. I've got 33, press the square button, plus 21, press the square button, equals, and that there should give me the exact same answer. So 39.1 centimetres for the length of the diagonal. So that's by Pythagoras Theorem. I've got a couple of money questions here. So a couple of questions based on exchange rate. So during a holiday in Mexico, we changed £650 into pesos. The exchange rate was £1, and that equals 19.13 pesos. How many pesos did Lee receive for £650? And I have to round the answer to the nearest 10 pesos. Okay, so I'm going to work out how many pesos I get. So pesos are going to be equal to, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out take the amount of money that I'm going to change, and I'm going to multiply that by my exchange rate. So when I'm changing pounds into foreign currency, I'm going to multiply by the exchange rate. If I was trying to work out pounds from pesos, then I would divide if I was coming back from holiday. Right, so 650, just on my calculator again, times 19.13, and that gives me an answer of 12434.5 pesos. Okay, and what I have to do is I have to round this to the nearest 10 pesos. So the nearest 10 would be this column here. So what I'm going to do is 1, 2, 4. This 4 here is going to leave the 3 as it is. 0 pesos. And nothing else after that. Right, we'll go for the last question that's here. Question 5. When booking a holiday to Canada, Anna paid £50 for a boat trip. When she was in Canada, she saw that the same boat trip advertised for 85 Canadian dollars. The exchange rate was £1 equals 1.57 Canadian dollars. How much did she save in pounds and pence by paying for the boat trip before going to Canada? Okay, so it cost £50 before going to Canada. In Canada it cost 85 Canadian dollars. So what we could do is work out how much the boat trip cost if we converted that Canadian dollars into pounds. Okay, so I want to know how much pounds it's going to cost. So the pounds are going to equal, and I'm going to go for the 85 Canadian dollars, and I'm going to divide it, because I'm transferring or exchanging dollars into pounds, we're going to divide by that exchange rate. Just use my calculator to do that again. So I've got 85 and I'll divide that by 1.57. Okay, press equals, and I get an answer of 54.14. 54.14 pounds. Right, so that's what the boat trip would cost if I bought it when I was in Canada, but she paid £50 for it before, so the amount that she's actually saving, okay, so Anna saved, and it's going to be £54.14, take away what she actually paid for it when she was at home, and that's going to be £4.14. Okay, so that's question 5. Let's have a look at question 6. Right, question 6. I can see I've got another triangle there, so I'm looking at it's a jewellery shop. Gold chains are displayed diagonally on a board, okay, and the side of the board is 20 inches. Okay, the longest chain stretches from corner to corner. Calculate the length of the longest chain. So that will be from this point here to that point there. So just like we did before in one of the questions, I'll call that X there, and what I'll do is I'm going to use Pythagoras Theorem to work this out, by Pythagoras Theorem. Right, so I'm going to set Pythagoras Theorem up. I know that that's going to be a right angle there. Across from the right angle is the longest side, always the longest side across from the right angle, from a right angle triangle. So I'm going to set Pythagoras Theorem up. X squared is equal to 20 squared plus 20 squared. And what I'll do is I'll go to my calculator and I'll work these parts out. So if I go for 20 squared, I just put in 20 into my calculator and I'll press the square button. That's 400. The other way I can do that is just put 20 times 20, get 400. I'm then going to add on to that 20 times 20 on the calculator, which will be the same. That will be 400. I'm going to add these together. I'll get 800. So obviously that's not going to be 800 inches long. I'm going to take the square root. So always remember to do that. Square root at the end. So square root of 800. So square root button, okay, which is the one that's about here. Put in 800 and equals. I've got a funny answer there, or it's a surd answer. but what I'm going to do is press the SD button, and that should give me my answer, which is 28.28. So 28.28, and that's in inches. Okay. In the answers, I think you're going to get 28.3, but either of these answers would be fine, okay? Because we're not asked to round it at all. So 28.3 inches. Next question. Right, so what we're looking at here in question 7, where we're looking at the Olympic symbols, we've got 3 of them in a row here, okay, and we know that from there to there it equals 45 centimetres. The circles are equally spaced, so the space here is the same as the space that's there, okay? And that gap is 1.5, and it's centimetres. So that gap must be 1.5 centimetres, okay? And what I have to do is I have to calculate the radius of the circle. So remember, the radius of the circle is from the centre of the circle to the outside. So that's the radius there, okay? Right, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to try to put all of these circles or bunch them all together. So if I take away the gaps that are in between them, what that would tell me is that if I've got the 3 circles and they're all right together, I can draw that. So I'm going to draw that just now, just down the bottom. So there's one circle. There's the next circle. Try and do it as best as I can here. And another circle just going on to that one. There we go, it looks something like that there, that I know that the distance from here to here is going to be equal to 45 centimetres. Take away the gap, so I'm getting rid of the gap. If I add the gaps together, that gives me 3 centimetres, so that leaves me with 42 centimetres. Now I know that a radius is from the centre of the circle to the outside, so I've got 1 there, I've got another radius there, I've got another radius there, another radius there, 4, 5 and 6. So I've got 6 radii, or 6 radiuses, that are there. What I'm going to do is, if I divide this number here, the total distance, by 6, I'll find out what the radius is. So the radius is equal to 42 divided by 6, which will give me 7, and we're working in centimetres. So that'll be 7 centimetres for the radius there. So a bit of problem solving, thinking about the gaps that you've got there, compress it in, make the circles all line up, and we know that how many radii that we've got in there. Okay. Let's look at question 8. Okay. Right, in question 8, we've got Alex uses a circular piece of wood to make a measuring wheel. The wheel has a radius of 18 centimetres, so there's the diagram there. We've got 18 centimetres as the radius. That's halfway across the circle. How many complete metres are measured by 15 rotations of the wheel? Okay, so to work out 15 rotations, I need to know what 1 rotation is. And if I think about a rotation of the circle, that would be the circumference of the circle. So what I need to do is I need to go to my formula sheet, and I need to see what the formula is for the circumference of a circle. Circumference of a circle, C is equal to pi d. So I'm going to write that down first of all. Okay, so I've got C is equal to pi d. Remember, d is the diameter, and the diameter is the distance all the way across the circle. And remember that the radius is only halfway across, diameter is all the way across, so I'm just going to double this here, double the radius. So the diameter is going to be 2 times my radius. So 2 times 18 is equal to 36 centimetres. So now what I'm going to do with that number, I'm going to substitute it into this formula that I've just got. So I've got pi times 36. onto my calculator again. So a pi button, remember, down the bottom down here in gold. So I'm going to go shift and then the pi button, pi appears in the screen, times 36, and that equals 36 pi. If I press the SD button, it's 113, so that's 113.097, and that is in centimetres. And remember what that was that I calculated there, that's 1 rotation. Okay, but what I wanted was 15 rotations, so for 15 rotations I'm going to calculate 113.097, which is the distance all the way around the wheel for one turn, times it with 15, that will give me my final answer. Let's have a look at that. So 113.097 times by 15 on my calculator gives me 1696. 1696.455, that's going to be centimetres. Now if I look back up at that question, there's a bit in bold there. It says how many complete metres are measured by 15 rotations. So if this is in centimetres, if I converted this to metres, I'm going to divide it by 100, so that would be 16.96455 metres. Complete metres, so if I cut there, I've only done 16 metres and nearly 17, but my answer is going to be 16 metres. Okay. Right, I'm going to finish there on question 8. That's where we're going to finish for this session. What I'll do is I'll do some more videos, and the first one that I'm going to be starting back with is question number 9, which to me looks like a trigonometry question. So that will be a SOHCAHTOA question. So that will be the first one that we start back in the next video.